For 40 years they thought he was just the janitor. They were so wrong. At a bustling mid-sized manufacturing company, the workday ended like any other. Desks were abandoned, lights were switched off, and employees rushed home. But as the building emptied, one man's workday was just beginning. His name was Joe, the night janitor. He was a quiet, humble figure who moved through the halls like a ghost, emptying trash cans, mopping floors, and wiping down surfaces. To most, he was invisible, a silent fixture of the building they barely noticed. For 4 decades, Joe observed the company's true soul. He saw everything. He saw Sarah, a young manager who, no matter how late she stayed, always stopped to ask him about his day. She'd share stories about her ambitions and listen intently when Joe offered quiet, surprisingly insightful advice. Then there was Mark, a senior executive who seemed to take pleasure in finding fault. A coffee spill, a missed spot on the window mark would berate Joe with a condescending tone, treating him not as a person, but as a problem. Joe also noticed David, a middle manager who, after company lunches, would discreetly leave a packed container of food on a side table for him, never saying a word, just a simple act of kindness. And he would never forget the ambitious vice president, Mr. Thompson, who once deliberately knocked over a stack of papers and made Joe clean it up, just to feel a surge of power in front of his colleagues. Joe simply nodded and got his broom, his face betraying no emotion. Through these daily interactions, Joe saw the real character of the people who worked in the company he had built. Because Joe wasn't just a janitor. He was Joseph Chung, the founder and majority owner. Decades earlier, he had stepped back from the CEO role, entrusting his creation to a new generation of leaders. But he couldn't let go completely. He needed to know if the values he'd built the company on, respect, integrity, and humility, were still alive. So he donned a janitor's uniform and returned, not to spy, but to understand. The years passed. Joe watched employees get hired, promoted, and fired. He saw triumphs and failures. He saw kindness and cruelty when no one thought anyone important was watching. Then, after 40 years of silent observation, the company announced a mandatory all-hands meeting. The agenda? To celebrate the retirement of a long-serving employee. Confusion rippled through the office. Who could it be? The CEO stood on stage and began to speak. Today, we are here to honor someone who has been the heart and soul of this company for over 4 decades. He then called a name that no one recognized. Please join me in thanking Mr. Joseph Chun for his incredible service. The crowd looked around, puzzled. That's when Joe, the janitor, wearing his simple work clothes, walked slowly onto the stage. A stunned silence fell over the room. The CEO turned to him. "Joe," he said, his voice filled with respect, "would you like to say a few words?" Joe stepped up to the microphone, his quiet demeanor unchanged. He looked out at the sea of familiar faces. He saw Sarah, her eyes wide with disbelief. He saw Mark, his face turning pale. He saw David, looking utterly bewildered, and Mr. Thompson, who suddenly seemed very small. For 40 years, Joe began, his voice steady and clear, I've had the privilege of working alongside all of you. You didn't know me, but I knew you. I saw your character in the quiet moments when you thought no one was looking. He spoke about the importance of how we treat one another, regardless of title or position. He didn't name names, but his gaze swept across the room, and everyone knew exactly who he was talking about. The message was clear. Character is not defined by your job title, but by your actions. The aftermath was seismic. The following week, Sarah, the young manager, was called into the new CEO's office. She was offered a senior leadership position with Joseph Chun's personal recommendation. David, the kind middle manager, was promoted to head a new department focused on employee welfare. As for Mark and Mr. Thompson, they were quietly let go. Their severance packages were standard, but their careers at the company were over. Joe's story became a legend within the company, a powerful reminder that every person has value and that true leadership is built on a foundation of respect. It taught everyone a profound lesson. Your true self is revealed not when you're trying to impress the boss, but in how you treat the person cleaning the floor. Thanks for watching Tales of Secret Wisdom. Remember to treat everyone with kindness, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that make you think.